Oh, can you see the screen? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, how was the demo yesterday? Hello?
Sir.
So what you understood from the EC2 demo? What you understood from that?
Amazon. How to get the
Huh?
Amazon website
How to get the instances from the Amazon portal.
website.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Amazon is an umbrella cloud that provides cloud services, and AWS services are divided into four categories: compute-based services, storage-based services, communication-based services, and additional services. So additional services means the services which doesn't belong to the first three categories, like CloudWatch and so on. Okay, and at the same time, yesterday, along with EC2, so we came to know the role of Amazon Elastic Block Storage, isn't it? So how it will allocate the storage for instances, and at the same time, we also saw why we need Amazon CloudWatch. See, CloudWatch actually collects all the log data. By using the log information, it will create some graphs and metrics using which we can monitor the consumption. Okay, that's the one thing. Okay, today we'll see so about different services. So what are the major services available under different categories? So basically, Amazon Web Service is a platform that allows the development of flexible applications by providing solutions for elastic infrastructure, scalability, messaging, and data storage. And it supports variety of guest operating systems. As we know, yesterday when during the demo, we had an opportunity to select any guest operating system of our choice. Say, for example, SUSE Linux, Windows. Under Windows, some 10 variants were there. Even desktop versions and server editions were available. At the same time, Red Hat Linux and other things were also available. So that means it provides support for various guest operating systems. So basically, when I say EC2 instance, it's a virtual machine. Basically, it's a virtual machine. Upon that, we can install any guest operating system. And the AWS platform is accessible through SOAP or RESTful web services. That means majorly we use two protocols, SOAP and REST. So using that, we can access and provides a web-based console where users can handle administration and monitoring of the resources required, as well as their expenses computed on a pay-as-you-go basis. So that means using the web we can access and we can select various pricing models. At the same time, there will be an administration console using which we can maintain the resources. So and CloudWatch is one application using which we can track the consumption. Okay, now we'll see different services one by one. So the first service is compute service. So under compute services, the major tool that we use is Amazon EC2. So that is the major building block of Amazon AWS. Because see, if you want to do anything, first of all, you should have a virtual machine because you always deal with the application. So where you install the application or where you launch the application, to launch the application, you need a platform that is operating system. Where to host the operating system? You need to host the operating system in a container. That container is nothing but the virtual machine. And here in Amazon terminology, we call it as an instance. So that provides resizable compute. EC2 mainly provides instances, containers, which are also called as virtual machines. That provides resizable compute capacity in the cloud to make it easier to access. They are created using Amazon Machine Image as templates. So that means actually, see, using the GUI, we select the instance. Actually, that is nothing but the image. Amazon Machine. We call it as Amazon Machine Image. Actually, that will be maintained in the data center. But using the GUI here, from here we select, but it will be allocated in the data center for us separately. which are specialized by selecting the number of cores, storage, and CPU capacity. So yesterday we demonstrated while selecting the instances, we can select the number of CPU cores, storage, and the CPU capacity. The processing power is expressed in terms of virtual cores. So virtual cores means, say you are accessing the Amazon EC2 by using your laptop. So that means whatever the CPU cores that you select that are not part of your laptop, that is, those are virtual cores. The processing power is expressed in terms of virtual cores and ECUs. ECUs means elastic compute units. So why we call it as elastic compute units? Because it is flexible enough. You can scale it down or you can scale it up. So hence we call it as elastic compute units. ECU is a measure of computing power of a virtual core. Okay, so the ECU capacity decides the computing power of any instance. Okay, continuation. So now we'll see how to divide EC2 instances. So if you want to divide the EC2 instances, so EC2 means elastic compute cloud. So you see, there are 6 categories of Amazon EC2 instances. The first category is standard instances. The standard instances offers a set of configurations that are most common for several applications. That means most commonly used applications can use standard instances. EC2 can increase power using CPU, storage, and RAM. Okay, by varying these things, CPU, storage, and RAM, you can decide how much power is required for your application. The example is common medium-sized websites. Okay, when you if you consider any small company, so like a company with 100 to 1000 employees, okay, if they are having their websites, okay, that becomes common one example for standard instances. So such companies can go with standard instances. Next is micro instances. This class is suitable for those applications that consume a limited amount of computing power and memory, and occasionally need bursts in CPU cycles to process surges in the workload. Example, small web applications. Since small web applications, most of the times the traffic will be very less. Say for example, so one autonomous college, you consider any autonomous college. See, when you say autonomous college, okay, they are responsible for running their college just like an university. But the number of students are limited to their campus. That means most of the times their portal, okay, is not that busy. But say for example, now they are announcing the results. Only at that time they may need, okay, more computing power. Okay, such uh, businesses can go with micro instances. Okay, they can hire micro instances. Next is, so another example for that is small web applications. And third one is high memory instances. So the applications that require more memory to store data rather than processing. That means here in case of high memory instances, the weightage will be given for memory rather than the CPU. That means memory capacity will be comparatively higher than the processing capacity. Example, University MIS. See, when I say University MIS, if I consider Bangalore University, that is one of the biggest universities in Asia. So they have to maintain data not only about current students, they have to maintain data of the students who have studied in their university starting from its inception. That means we don't know in which year it was started. At least 50 years ago, Bangalore University was started. From the time they have to maintain the data. That means they need a lot of memory. So therefore, in such case, so the priority will be given for storage rather than the processing capacity. So such if we have such requirements, we can go with high memory instances. Next is high CPU instances. Especially whenever we do scientific calculations or when we run simulations, say weather forecasting, gene simulation, such thing. Okay, so if you are running such applications, obviously we need high CPU capacity. So that is the application of HPC, that is high performance computing. Wherever you expect high performance, you can rely on high CPU instances. And the third category is cluster compute instances. See, the meaning of you need to understand what is cluster compute. So, cluster compute is nothing but bringing together multiple CPUs or multiple computers and making one network and taking one job at a time and dividing that job into small pieces and assigning each piece to one CPU. Okay, so that is the model. That is the cluster compute instances. So this class is used to provide virtual cluster services. Instances in this category are categorized by high CPU compute power and large memory and an extremely high input output and network performance, which makes it suitable for HPC applications. So that means this is also suitable for HPC applications. Say for example, banking applications. Say for banking applications, we especially on weekends they don't want much resources. So therefore, they can have less. They can reduce the risk instances or the capacity during the weekends. So and during weekends they may need more resources. Say for example, so when I say banking application, so they need huge CPU capacity. Why? Because the transactions have to execute within time. Say for example, you are doing one transaction for which you are expecting an OTP. So you are expecting that OTP to reach your mobile phone within no time. And if you do not use, there are certain banking applications if you do not use that OTP within 30 seconds, that OTP will expire. And in some applications, it is up to 3 minutes. So that means, so this is one area where you are giving more importance for the performance, that is the speed as well as storage also. So why storage? So when I say any banking application, so obviously they have to maintain redundant copies of data. If anything happens at one data center and if they are losing that data, they should be able to retrieve that data from some other data center. So that means that is where redundancy comes into the picture and they need very high memory capacity and extremely high input output. So why? Because say for example, one the same banking application can be accessed through multiple channels. Say, for example, if I say Kotak Mahindra Bank, I can access Kotak Mahindra Bank using web application, using mobile application. Okay, and also there are some alternative applications developed by um, Kotak Mahindra. That means there are so many ways in which I can access. So therefore, it has to support for high input and output. So and network performance must be good. So that's an example for cluster compute instances. And the last category is cluster GPU instances. So GPU means you know that graphical processing units. So first of all, we need to know what are the applications of GPUs. So majorly, we use GPUs where we do floating point calculations. That is a modern trend. See, earlier people were not knowing that that can also be used to do floating point calculations and array-based and matrix-based calculations. See, earlier people used to use GPUs only for graphics to process the graphic related data. Now people are using it to process graphic related data and streaming services and also for scientific calculations where you need to deal with matrices and floating point data. So this class provides instances featuring graphic processing units and high compute power, large memory, and extremely high input output and network performance. Say, after reading this statement, you may be thinking it looks same as cluster compute instances. Yes, but only the difference is that cluster compute instances they are not ideally suited for dealing with graphics. Okay, but these cluster GPU instances they can also deal with graphics and also with scientific calculations. And this class is particularly suited for cluster applications that perform heavy graphic computations. Okay, that means they are telling this can also be used for cluster compute instances provided if the requirement is related to graphics processing. So that's about the 6 categories of EC2 instances. So EC2 can be integrated with other AWS services. See why? Because when I say selecting a particular EC2 to launch our application, so that means we are selecting one virtual machine to launch our application. So when I say to launch our application, first of all I need a lot of memory, okay, to host the guest operating system. Upon that, to host our application. Then I want a lot of CPUs to process for processing. See, in yesterday's example demo, we selected only one CPU. So hence it was taking a lot of time while configuring the IIS server. Instead, in case if we had selected 3-4 processors, processors, it would have installed within no time. Okay, so that means EC2 is integrated with so many other AWS web services. So that is Amazon EBS, that is Elastic Block Storage. That is for storage purpose. And then Amazon CloudWatch. So that provides a dashboard using which you can track the consumption related information. Then Amazon Virtual Private Cloud. So go- when a company is going to set up their own virtual private cloud, so then this application is very useful. Amazon Virtual Private Cloud. So then Amazon AWS Batch. So the word batch indicates that. So it is ideally suited to deal with batch processing, batch processing related tasks. Okay, then Amazon ECS. Okay, later we'll see what is that Amazon ECS. So ECS is Amazon Cloud Storage. Okay, now we'll see second category of services, that is storage services. So under that, the most popular web service is S3. S3 is nothing but Amazon Simple Storage Service. So Amazon AWS, that I'll alter later. So AWS provides a collection of services for data storage and information management. The core service is in the area is in this area is represented by Simple Storage Service. So that means S3 is mainly used to collect data and to maintain it. So this is distributed object store that allows users to store information in different formats. That means it provides an interface using which you can store your data and information in various formats. The core components of S3 are two components, that is buckets and objects. Buckets represent virtual containers in which to store objects. So that means, say if you want to store your data, you need some data structures, isn't it? So this is something similar to that. This bucket is similar to your data structure. So that means this bucket represents virtual container in which you can store the objects. So in object orientation, everything okay, there you deal with an object. Say for example, if I say one object, so that is associated with the data members and member functions, like that. So this bucket that that is used to store the objects. An object represent the content that is actually stored. So whatever the content that is actually stored, we call it as, instead of calling it as a data, we call it as an object. So that means we can store data in terms of objects. That is the takeaway. Okay. The takeaway from this concept is we can store data in terms of objects. Objects can also be enriched with metadata that can be used to tag the stored content with additional information. So objects can also be enriched with metadata. So metadata means you need to understand. So say for example, you are storing some data. So as I told, we call it as object. Okay, the data what is stored is called as an object. So metadata means, so what is the name of the object, then object type, okay, and object characteristics. So these are nothing but metadata. And second type of storage service is Amazon Elastic Block Storage, that is EBS. elastic block storage. So yesterday in that EC2 instance, we were talking about elastic block storage. So whenever we use Amazon EC2, internally it will make use of elastic block store to store the data. Just like it is similar to just like how we store in the hard disk. Similarly, so virtually it will be stored in the elastic block storage, and that will be managed in the cloud data centers. The Amazon Elastic Block Store allows AWS users to provide EC2 instances with persistent storage in the form of volumes that can be mounted at instance startup. So you need to understand what is persistent storage. So persistent storage means today you are storing the data, tomorrow or at any point of time you are able to retrieve it. So that is called persistent. And in the form of volumes that can be mounted at instance startup. So that means you can allocate how much data you want during the instance startup. And later also actually you can increase the storage capacity. They accommodate up to 1 terabyte of space and are accessed through a block device interface. Okay, they can be accessed through a block device interface, thus allowing users to format them according to the needs of the instance they are connected to. So that means they provide an interface using which you can format what you have stored, okay, and you can deal with it. The content of an elastic block storage volume survives the instance life cycle. So instance life cycle. What is the meaning of instance life cycle? So instance life cycle begins with the moment you start creating the process of the, the instance. So that means, so when the instance is launched, that is then it is up and running. Okay, and it will the last phase is the moment you terminate the instance. Okay, that becomes the last phase of the instance. So yesterday, what was the last thing we did? Just before closing the Amazon portal, we deleted the instance that we had created. Why? Because sometimes, many of the times, so it will be using public domain IP addresses and so on. In case if it is running, simply it will charge for us. So usually what we do, we stop and then we terminate it. So termination is nothing but completely deleting the instance. Okay, once you terminate, that is no more available. Once again, you have to do the rework again, starting from the scratch. So in case if you want to use it again, you need to stop. You need to go to the instance status and you need to select stop instead of termination, so that you can run it again. EBS volumes can be cloned, used as boot partitions and constitute durable storage since they rely on S3, and it is possible to take incremental snapshots of the content. See, it is possible to clone the EBS. See, it is something similar to copy constructor in Oops. See, already when you have a constructor, you can